I'm sure you've heard of juries being sequestered. Well, how about broadcasters? For most of the week, the state of North Carolina has been home. Durham on Tuesday night for Duke's last non-conference tune-up. Then a short 8-mile trip down 15-501 for a similar show from the number 2 Tar Heels in Chapel Hill. What a life we've spent the last week on a shuttle between the two schools, but the warm-ups are over. Now we're back in Durham, and now it's time for plays and memories like this as we start the ACC campaign for real. Duke takes the floor. Oh no, in the Atlantic Coast Conference, they will face Virginia Tech. The Hokies are 1-0 in the ACC coming in. They knocked off Wake Forest a few days ago, 63-60. They're 10-4 overall. Duke, 13-1. Good afternoon, everybody. The rare day game in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Mike Patrick, Glenn Elmore. It's great to have you with us. If you're a Duke fan, here's the good news. They haven't played that well most of the preseason, but they are getting visibly better.
Well, they certainly are. They're still playing that stifling defense, limiting opponents to only 53 points a game, which leads the ACC. And also they lead in three-point field goal percentage defense, limiting opponents to only 24 from beyond the arc. Bottom line is the emergence of Josh McRoberts. He's beginning to dominate on both ends of the floor. You look at those numbers from Temple, that's indicative of his play. And Coleman Collins for Virginia Tech, his play is down a little bit this year, but his eyes light up when he plays Duke.
When you take a look at the lineups, look at the matchup between Jamon Gordon and Greg Paulus. Paulus the point guard. Jamon Gordon, an outstanding defender. He'll be on a man-to-man to start with. Virginia Tech leads the Atlantic Coast Conference in turnover margin, and they have always hung their hat on defense just the way Duke has. Seth Greenberg, 4 losses this year, but only by a total of 10 points. Their front court has been inconsistent. That has been the problem, but he will come in here today, and you better believe Virginia Tech will compete with the Blue Devils of Duke. Duke in the home white controls the opening tip.
We talked about the play of Greg Paulus, obviously becoming more of an offensive threat and really starting to limit his turnovers. There was a point this year where he had more turnovers than assists. And there's one right there.
Sure is. Just very careless, dribbling the ball off his left foot. First turnover. Mike Krzyzewski has now won 693 games at Duke. An impeccable record. Dowdell in the backcourt with Gordon. Washington. This is a very experienced basketball team. Collins comes out to set a screen. Dowdell with a runner, 2-0 Virginia Tech.
Well, Xavier Dowdell, one of the top guards in the ACC, and you're right, Mike, you talk about experience. Virginia Tech only behind Maryland in the number of senior starts.
Seth Greenberg, his first year in the league, was the ACC Coach of the Year.
By contrast, when you look at Duke, they've had no senior starts this year.
Nelson, pull-up jumper. Good box out inside by Virginia Tech. The Hokies with the ball. Gordon pushes it up.
Nice job.
Good pass to Collins, couldn't handle it. But the follow is good. Witcher, the freshman out of Rocky Mount, Virginia, makes it 4-0 Virginia Tech.
And that's going to be Duke's challenge all afternoon, being able to contain the guards of Virginia Tech. Dowdell and Gordon, you don't find two better in the ACC.
See if Duke will end up making a point of getting the ball to McRoberts. Schreier, as the pass was behind him, another poor effort by Paulus, and Virginia Tech gets the run out and a 6-0 Hokie lead. How about that, Lenny?
Well, again, it came down to the guard play and the turnovers, and Virginia Tech capitalizing thus far.
That was the game plan, and it's worked perfectly so far. If you're a Virginia Tech fan, you've got to be happy about the start. They have pressured the Duke backcourt, forced a couple of turnovers. They're up 6-0. Paulus a year ago was only the 4th freshman point guard to lead the conference in assists. This year, he's actually just turned the corner into the plus category with good games in the last 2 or 3. But he has been a little sloppy to start this one.
Well, when you break it down, though, remember Greg Paulus had over 50% of his assists to J.J. Redick and to Sheldon Williams.
Exactly.
Those guys are gone right now. Got a very young team to deal with.
McRoberts with the extra pass and another turnover. Gordon baseline reverse. Jamon Gordon, the senior from Jacksonville, makes it an 8-0 run to start the ball game. Duke has had bad first halves almost all year long. They've been much better in the second half when the offense is in front of the Duke coaching staff. Paulus, no,
lazy pass. Greg Paulus very tentative right now, and that surprises me because that's the one thing he has going for him on a consistent basis, his confidence. Yep. But right now, it just seems as though he's tentative. He might be confused, and maybe the reputation of Dowdell and Gordon have got him spooked a little bit. You got Gordon, number 2 in the ACC in steals, Dowdell, number 4. Very active, long arms, quick.
Turned it over 4 out of 5 possessions. Gerald Henderson checks in, and Paulus will sit down. Mike Krzyzewski will talk to him. Here's Washington from long range. And that one's snatched by the freshman Henderson. Duke has yet to get a shot with 4 turnovers. McRoberts may change that. 2 Duke players in the same place get the pass. Good ball movement. Shire from outside. That's a huge bucket for Duke. They're 1 for 1, but they're down 8-3.
But that was excellent ball movement right there, and it took the freshman Henderson to Shire to get Duke off the schneid, and Mike Krzyzewski obviously substituting, trying to get some energy out there, some confidence.
McRoberts got his hand on the rebound but couldn't hold it, and then Collins fouled by McRoberts. Coleman Collins, very interesting. His numbers almost cut in half from a year ago. He just has not played well, missed a month of preseason practice, much like Paulus, and it's really affected his game.
Only 4 double-figure games this year. Last year averaged 14.5 points a game. Now only averaging around 7. He was a star on the rise. Obviously, tough year last year. The loss of his father, you mentioned, the injury in the preseason, and that has a tendency to set guys back.
This is a very poor free throw shooting team, 62.7%. Collins hits 1 of 2, and it's 9-3 early. Shire will handle the point, something they have tried to avoid. They just want him to learn one position. Passing really sloppy. Shire almost lost that one.
Again, I think it's recognition of the good defense that's been played by the Virginia Tech guards.
Well, that looked like a pretty good block.
Talk about Greg Paulus, obviously very tentative. That was an extraordinarily lazy pass. You never see Greg Paulus do that. And obviously Steve Wojciechowski, terrific guard in his own right back in the day, trying to instill that confidence back into Greg Paulus. And you can see Paulus focused on Wojo's eyes. He got the message.
McRoberts, who's a 69% shooter, misses the first. Lenny, with young players, there's a fine line between yelling at them and being their friend and coaching them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, yelling at a guy like Greg Paulus who knows how to play this game and has been extraordinary in his freshman year, and at times this year has been pretty darn good. You know, yelling at him's not going to do any good. You got to bring him back to the moment when he feels most confident, and you make him live in that moment.
Must have been a lane violation because McRoberts is going to get another one. And rattles that one home, 9-4. Here's full court pressure. Virginia Tech beating it easily. Washington tries to go baseline. Collins.
Well, we talked about it. When he sees Duke coming, his eyes light up, averaging 7 points a game. But remember, in the 4 career games against Duke, averaged 16 points, 11 rebounds. And look at the points in the paint. Very aggressive attack by Virginia Tech against Duke, and that's what Seth told us.
Nelson will score. comes Shire. Nelson, perhaps the most athletic player on the drive, and scores.
And again, a more focused attack by Duke. Passes are crisper. Guys are attacking the lanes when they need to. And it's Virginia Tech now that's coming down and taking wayward shots.
It's an interesting possession that time. Duke was woefully slow getting back down court on defense. McRoberts about the only one left.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Suzuki Automotive. It's going to be a great ride. And Olivia, redefining high def.
Of course, you know, if you come to Duke, you get to visit Krzyzewskiville, where it's a beautiful day, unusually warm, early January. 72 degrees, the average temperature would have been 49, but it's sunny and warm. You want sunny and warm? Come on into Announcerville. We're up in the rafters at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Well, they say it's 88. It may be 88 on the floor. It's got to be 120 up here.
That's
Three people. That's Lenny waving the fan. Thank you, Mr. Elmore.
I'll say that's my job today, besides analysis. Keep you cool.
Three people. You can get three announcers in here if they really like each other and if you're sadistic. But the cost is priceless. Duke the last 2 minutes, 11 seconds on an 8-3 run. McRoberts double-teamed as he got it low, and he traveled.
Well, Josh McRoberts has to recognize that that's going to happen to him just about all afternoon. Obviously, his play over the last several games has forced teams to come and double him. And he's such a terrific passer, he's got to be ready, turn, and face the double, find the open man.
Number 3, Nigel Munson is in. He's a freshman out of Washington, D.C. Played at legendary DeMatha. He's in the backcourt right now with Dowdell. And this is Marcus Sales, a senior out of Richmond, Virginia, number 24. A.D. Vasayo is also in the front court. Pretty good shooter at 6'6". He's number 4. Shot clock is down to 6. A runner won't go. Here comes Henderson. 3-on-3. He'll take it all the way himself. Duke back to within 1 after Virginia Tech had an 8-0 start.
Well, suddenly Duke has got some newfound confidence, maybe because they were able to get a couple of quick baskets and make a couple of stops as well. And you can see now much more forceful defensively. Looks like they've got a little more bounce in their step, but offensively, quick to the ball, more assertive.
Lance Thomas, number 42, is in for Duke. He had missed a couple of games with a sprained ankle. And again, the crowd giving Duke a big hand for the defense. But Zabian Dowdell quiets that with a 3. Nice pull-up jumper. Henderson. McRoberts looking for a little one-on-one action himself. Can't hit it. Offensive rebound at Thomas. Thomas at 6'8" out of South Plains, New Jersey. Another athlete.
Well, Thomas was missing in action over the last 2 games with kind of an ankle tweak. And Duke had held him out for those games so he could get a little bit better. But you see what he brings to the table. Good off the offensive glass. Pretty good defender.
Dowdell gets his own rebound. Lost it on the way up. Then gets it outside. Munson, who's a really good outside shooter, can't hit it. Duke with a tip out. McRoberts, great ball handler for a big man. Gives it to Shire. Nice pass. Thomas with a finish retied at 14.
Well, what's happening right now is Duke has become the aggressor offensively. Earlier, they were going east-west, really were penetrating, looking to get to the paint. Shire off the bounce, put a lot of pressure on the Virginia Tech defense.
Everybody backs away on Munson. Got it to Collins. Collins tied up by Thomas. Finally, a whistle. And the held ball will give it to Virginia Tech.
That's what they call a foul.
Call a foul.
Right.
Boy, that took a long time, didn't it?
Yeah, and a foul on A.D. Vasayo. because he jumped on top of the pile instead of reaching in to try to grab the ball.
I was waiting for a football to pop out of there. That'll be one on Vasayo, and Duke with a chance to take the lead for the first time. Paulus back in, and right on him is Jamon Gordon. Picked up his dribble, almost lost it, and he did. Paulus just having an awful day. 11 minutes, 54 seconds to go first half. I thought college football season was over.
Might be some of the best football Duke has seen in a long time.
More college basketball tonight on ESPN and ESPN HD at 9 Eastern. A.J. Price and the 14th-ranked UConn Huskies go against Glenn Davis, number 19 LSU. Saturday prime time presented by DirecTV.
College basketball alive and well. They're not going to get a shot away, and here they come. He's feeling it. He's turning down the dance. What a motion.
I saw a game that you did earlier, UConn and West Virginia. The Mountaineers look pretty good.
Well, I'll tell you, West Virginia is going to be one of those surprises. Very well coached, as any John Beilein team would be. And they've gotten a little more athletic. But playing against a UConn team that's very young, that's tremendously talented, but, you know, they need some seasoning, some experience. And they're going to get in a hurry against Big Baby and the Tigers.
Nice drive from the baseline. Durham Washington gives Virginia Tech the lead back at 16-14. And speaking of young and talented, here's Duke, number 5 in the country, struggling offensively, turning the ball over. And another poor pass. Brian Zubek couldn't handle that one, the 7-footer. Washington on the run, and a foul call.
Well, on that pass, Zubek did a nice job of slipping the screen. See, watch when he sets the screen, he knows his man is going to step out on the top, and he slips it before his man is set. But that was just an errant pass by DeMarcus Nelson.
Washington out of New Orleans will go to the free throw line. He's only shooting 57% from the line this year. And one thing you can guarantee, if you shoot in the low 60s at a team, it's going to bite you somewhere. Gets them both this trip.
The full court pressure right now. Virginia Tech, they want to continue to attack Duke on the offensive end. And defensively, you see what they've been able to do right here off the turnovers.
Been a huge advantage for them. Something you normally see from Duke, but Duke doesn't run that much anymore. Nelson, top of the circle with a 3.
And Mike, you notice that was the same play that Nelson turned the ball over the last possession. This time, he wasn't taking any chances. He used the screen and hit that jumper off the top.
No pass, no turnover. Vasayo guarded by McClure. Little runner in the lane, no. Zubek got the rebound. It looked like he was fouled by Vasayo, but the ball's knocked out of bounds. Coming up next, number 6 Ohio State against Bruce Weber's Illinois Ball Club right here on ESPN. Ohio State with a chance to go for that rare double. And a lot of people team and the basketball team up to number 1.
Saying when you're talking basketball, a lot of people think obviously that Ohio State and Wisconsin are the 2 big dogs in the Big Ten.
Nelson, good defense by Washington. Nick Roberts back in the ball game. Paulus for 3. His shooting has improved lately. Everything about his game has improved lately, but regression a little bit today, perhaps.
And again, I think a lot of it has to do with 2 tremendous defensive guards.
Yes,
he's being probably overly cautious.
Vasayo, he's got that range.
That's why he's in the ball game. 38% from beyond the arc, but coming into this game, he was 12 of his last 27. That's 44%, and he's picked up where he left off.
21-17, Hokies. McRoberts working against Jakite, who's a very physical player. Seth Greenberg said perhaps the most physical player he has ever recruited. Nelson wide open for a jump shot and missed it.
And speaking of physical, you saw two guys flying out of that crowd over there, and that's what ACC basketball is all about. We can talk about all the numbers in non-conference play we want. This is a different season.
Contact, offensive foul. Lance Thomas trying to get down the lane. Picks up the personal.
And when you're playing physical basketball, you're going to see bodies flying, turnovers exchanged. Good, gritty basketball.
Only been 7 fouls called in this game so far. 4 on Duke, 3 on Virginia Tech. And the turnover story is going to be a factor. Washington got away from Shire. Missed the shot. Shire with a rebound.
But Washington, with his athleticism, see him settle for that jump shot. Put it on the floor, get to the paint, maybe wind up with a mid-range shot where he can elevate and use his soft touch. Shooting that shot just plays into Duke's hands.
Wallace looking for a screen. Thomas steps into a jump shot and bricked it. Washington. Foul will be on Paulus.
You know, whether or not it's the correct call, and Mike Krzyzewski obviously doesn't think so, I think the best part about that call that a lot of officials don't make is the fact that there's contact. It's either, wow, he almost jumped over Paulus. I talked about Washington's athleticism, but the important point is you make the call. There was contact there. It's either a block or it's a charge. Now, again, without judging, and that looked like obviously a pretty good call. Didn't look like Greg Paulus had gotten himself set until Washington had left the ground.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
But in the end, you got to make that call. All too many times you see officials swallow their whistle on that call.
Washington with a miss. He's hit 2 out of 3 from the line and 4 points in the first 10 minutes. Jakite goes out of the ball game.
And Mike, you referenced it early. Virginia Tech, 4 free throw shooting team, 63%. And in a close game situation, that's going to come back to bite them big time.
Always does. 21-17, as poorly as Duke has played so far in this game, they're only down by 4. And McRoberts has been no factor offensively. Big guy backing in, lost his footing and went down. Turnover Duke.
Well, that was a sly defensive move by Coleman Collins that kept giving pressure and holding McRoberts back, and then watch him at the last moment step away. Look at his forearm, putting pressure, and then he steps back away from him, and McRoberts loses his balance because he's expecting Coleman Collins to stand there and try to keep him away.
The 9th turnover by the Duke Blue Devils. Messiah, that was a tough pass right at the feet of Richard. He had no chance. Seth Greenberg, chance to talk to his ball club. They're up by 4 with 7:45 to go in the half. 21-17, Virginia Tech with a lead. It's a beautiful day outside. Unfortunately, we're inside. Where it's not too beautiful in here, it is hot. And because of the fire marshal regulations, they have the doors open, so any air conditioning that might be sneaking out of the inner offices isn't affecting anything on the court. It's going straight outside. Quinn Snyder, the former Duke guard, great shooter, coach at Missouri. Enjoying a rather toasty afternoon here at Cameron Indoor.
And I've always said about Quinn Snyder, how come I never see he and Johnny Depp in the same place?
Yes, sir. There's a reason. Nelson reverse off the pass from McRoberts. McRoberts and Paulus are the 2 leading assist men on this team, but in the first half they have 7 turnovers between them.
Which is odd because over the last 4 games, they've averaged between them 8 assists and only 3 turnovers.
Yeah, they've been sensational. But back to your earlier point, give Virginia Tech some credit for that. Collins.
Well, I tell you what, you always have a team. As a player, you always have a team that you see and you just, for some reason, play well against.
Yep.
But normally it's not one of the best teams. And Coleman Collins has really accepted the challenge. We talked about it again, averaging 16 points, 11 rebounds in 4 career games against Duke. Last year, in the last couple of years, it's been against Sheldon Williams. So Coleman Collins really gets himself up for these games.
It's not like he's playing against a nobody in the middle there. Dowdell.
We talk about activity, and the reason why Duke may be turning it over, particularly Paulus, again, has to do with the defensive activity of Virginia Tech.
Witcher trying to use power inside, and he's fouled by McRoberts on the follow.
Josh McRoberts has got to step up again. Over the last several games, he's really emerged as an extraordinarily versatile player, giving Duke what they need when they need it. And right now, they need him to be more of a force in the post. It'll help loosen up the perimeter defense.
They called a tie-up instead of a foul, so McRoberts still has only one. Ball goes to Virginia Tech on the held ball, and Gordon and Dowdell operate in Seth Greenberg's backcourt.
Although I saw Coleman Collins on the post with Zubac on his back begging for the ball, and they just didn't look at him, and they wind up taking that kind of shot.
Air ball from Gordon, and Washington goes flying into the photographers and can't save it.
And Seth Greenberg told us before the game that, there have been questionable jump shots by his guards as opposed to going inside.
So far, both teams shooting the ball very well. And Duke's turnovers have been the difference in this game.
Yeah, for the most part, when Duke can run their stuff, they're getting good looks.
Nelson wide open behind the double screen and buries the three. DeMarcus Nelson shooting over 41% coming in from three-point range, cuts the lead to 1.
And we said it over and over again in every Duke game we've telecast. But DeMarcus Nelson is their most consistent player. He's also their team leader. May not be the most vocal guy, but right now with 12 points, you wonder where Duke would be without DeMarcus Nelson.
He has 12 of the 22. And Seth Greenberg asked for a timeout with 9 seconds.
And with his man driving to the paint, too.
Yeah. Let's go to Dave Revson. Dave, what do you have?
Mike, we've got a thrashing going on here in the Big East. Notre Dame 13-1, but getting hammered at Georgetown. Jeff Green, Jonathan Wallace running the nice backdoor cut right there. 23-6 Hoyas.
Ooh. Well, surprises early.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame was a surprise unto themselves.
Right.
And Georgetown's poor play early in some of the losses, they've seemed to get it back. And Greg Paulus, we talk about surprises. I expected him to come out here and play with some confidence. Instead, he's been dribbling off his foot, throwing tentative passes. Look at the defense, though. Jamon Gordon, as we said, one of the best defenders in the backcourt. And he's really gotten into Greg Paulus's head. And Steve Wojciechowski wants to get the Duke method back into his head. Greg Paulus obviously having just a tough afternoon so far.
And 2 fouls as well, spending a lot of time on the bench as Shire runs the ball club and has done a pretty good job of it.
Well, again, I mean, Mike Krzyzewski with Paulus on the bench, he wants somebody who's going to execute. And Greg Paulus just not capable at this moment. And you saw Steve Wojciechowski talking to Greg Paulus. He wants to get Jamon Gordon out of Paulus's head and get himself and get the Duke way into Greg Paulus's head.
Foul's going to be called on McClure for a hold. That'll be 2 on him, and Steve Wojciechowski did not like the call. Mike Krzyzewski did not like the call either. 16 fouls on Duke, only 3 on Virginia Tech here in the first half. Gordon, as the shot clock was running down, hits a runner. (25-22). Shire running the Duke offense. Virginia Tech leads by 3. Zubac, nice pass. Got it to Shire for the reverse, and he hits it. That'll cut it to 1. So the 7-footer, kind of player you don't see much in college basketball anymore, the kind of player you haven't seen at Duke forever.
But you see the pass go inside, and look at Jamon Gordon turn his head. Shire is his man. The ball goes inside. There's Gordon right there, nowhere to be found. And Shire with the penetration. Nice delivery by Zubek.
Shire, outstanding free throw shooter, ties it at 25.
You know, for all the on-ball defense that Virginia Tech is playing, Duke has been capitalizing on ball movement, forcing the guards to turn their head, lose their men.
This is Washington as Duke ratchets up the defensive pressure. Collins against Zubek. Almost get caught up in the air. Sales short-armed it a little bit. Offensive rebound. Collins. That's a gift if you're a big man when the ball's tipped right to you on the way to the hoop.
Well, it's important right now for Virginia Tech to continue to answer Duke. You know, recognizing that Cameron is arguably the toughest place to play in the ACC, and they're right here. They don't want this game to get away from them, because when the tide of momentum starts to shift here, you can get drowned.
Jakite picks up his first foul.
Jakite, his first. Team's fifth.
Look at Zubek trying to post Jakite. Jakite's strong, rugged, and that was a mismatch, although I actually didn't see the foul unless, you know, in a two-dimensional way. I missed the fact that Jakite was pushing him down.
Shire left alone at the baseline, almost forced to take the shot. Zubek tried to keep it alive. Virginia Tech leads by 2. Runner, nice shot by Jamon Gordon, averaging 16.9 points a game. Check it, making 11.9 points a game. And he gives the Hokies a 4-point lead.
Jakite really playing Zubek physically.
Nelson with a miss. McRoberts with a rebound, had it taken away. Here comes Washington. Holds up, waits for help in the form of Gordon. Collins, 16-footer, no. Offensive rebound, but a foul. Timeout on the court, 3:17 to go first half. The lead is 4.
I'm Dave Revson in the studio. Coming up on the UPS halftime report, Tom Brennan, Doug Gottlieb will join me. Close losses, huge issue for Notre Dame last year. Doesn't look like that's going to be a problem today. We will tell you why. Defending national champion Florida looking to continue its dominance of Georgia. And we'll also get you ready for the primetime game as UConn goes down on the Bayou to battle LSU. Guys?
Dave, thanks very much. 29-25 here, and how did this guy sneak in? It's a Virginia Tech crazy. You gotta be crazy to sit in the Duke section, don't you?
With that orange hat.
Shire continues to run the ball club with Paulus on the bench. McRoberts tried to go down the lane and was fouled before he got there. More college basketball tonight on ESPN and ESPN HD. Number 14 UConn, number 19 LSU, Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. McRoberts will go to the line, only has 1 point, made a free throw.
And that last play was an effort to try to get him on track. McRoberts, obviously a good ball handler. Jakite, not really good playing guys out on the perimeter. And you saw Zubek set a high screen for McRoberts, allowing him to use his ball handling skills to create that foul. His mobility is a plus.
McRoberts as an individual and Duke as a team have had much better second halves than they had first half. McRoberts pretty emblematic of that right now. He's been held to 3, all on free throws, 29-27. Virginia Tech, the visitors on top by 2.
Mike, that point may be because of the youth. Again, kind of a feeling out process.
Collins. Virginia Tech showing its power on the boards. Held ball, it will go to Duke. Krabendam is in for the first time, the big guy at 7 feet 240 from the Netherlands. You want memories? This one will live a long time for the Duke Blue Devils. Virginia Tech had him beat. This is the pregame chant.
Sean Dockery.
He drilled the three with no time left on the clock. Ahead to Collins. Beautiful shot. Henderson couldn't catch him. 9 points for Collins.
Well,
you're right. He just lights up when he sees Duke, huh?
Absolutely. Terrific transition. And Collins, the big man, beat everybody down the floor.
Shire tries the bounce pass. Listen to the last play.
Oh. Hard throw down.
Shire to inbound to McRoberts. Slashes into the lane, tries to scoop, had it knocked out of bounds. Krabbendam.
Krabbendam, young man from Holland, sat out last year recovering from a knee injury. He's a project, but you know, he's shown pretty good instinct inside. And it's a nice little matchup between he and Zubek. Big guys learning how to play. Look at Krabbendam, he's battling.
Yes, he is. McRoberts, nice step through, but Krabbendam got in the way, forced him to alter the shot. Dowdell pulls up for three. Got it. Xavier Dowdell. You give he or Gordon the opportunity to fire from long range, they'll take it. The lead back to 7. Virginia Tech taking advantage of some of this experience. Nelson bounced off his foot, put it right to McRoberts.
And you're right, Mike. We talk about Virginia Tech's experience. 5 returning starters. Second most starts by seniors next to Maryland.
Zubek was double teamed and will draw the foul from Krabbendam.
Now here's a situation with Josh McRoberts at the top of your screen right there. Sometimes he doesn't extend the way he needs to, using his size and his length. You saw right there, he was almost lateral instead of vertical with the ball. He's got a tremendous reach. You know, he needs to be able to use that. He has to explode, but once you get into explosion at the height of your jump, he should extend more, make himself bigger, play as big as he is.
That's a great point, Lenny. The way he leaned in, he made himself a 6-footer instead of a guy who's 6'10".
Absolutely. I mean, he may become more in love with handling the ball on the perimeter, something he does very well. But when you get in the paint, if you're big, you better play big.
Zubek, nice touch from the line, hits them both. Gets a good hand as he comes out of the game. And it's 34-29. Virginia Tech has made really good use of its bench today, I think. Seth Greenberg likes to use a lot of guys, and he has used them very well here in the first half. Again, it's hot on the floor. Endurance and depth is going to make a difference before this one is over. Running a weave outside against that Duke man-to-man. Shot clock down to 13. Vasayo, a little hesitation. Dribble hits a runner. Vasayo, very good-looking ball player.
Absolutely. Again, he's very offensive-minded. Young man from Puerto Rico by way of Hargrave Military Academy.
Henderson, tough shot in the lane. Can't get it. Rebound to Shire. He battles his way through and will pick up the foul on Krabbendam. That's 2. And Paulus getting a chance to watch right now. I'll tell you what, even when he struggles, he's had a great attitude. I mean, he's a very good young man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you talk to him, and he's always upbeat, always optimistic. And look at him cheering for his teammates. He's not wallowing in self-pity.
That's right.
Quite honestly, sitting on the bench may give him some perspective going into the second half.
Shire hits a free throw. He's 2 for 2 from the line, has 7 big points here in the first half. Shot clock will be off. We have 34.4 seconds, so Virginia Tech can play for the last shot of the very good first half for them.
Actually, this is a key possession right now, to go in on a good note, to score, take some of the wind out of Duke's sail. And if I'm Virginia Tech, that's what I focus on, precise execution. This is big.
Gordon fouled at the top of the circle with 20 seconds to go. The foul will be on DeMarcus Nelson, his first.
That's not a bad foul. Jamon Gordon 50% free throw shooter. And Duke has a chance to get the ball back. So, you know, it's 50-50 that he's going to make both of these. And now you get an opportunity to get the ball back and maybe capitalize a little bit on that possession if you do.
Now, Jamon Gordon at 53%. What happens at the end of a ball game? He's a great player, but can you afford to even have him on the court shooting 53%?
Well, you know, in the end, you got to really depend upon his heart and whether or not in the last 2 minutes of a game and the last 20 seconds of a game, that stuff goes out the window and he focuses.
Hits the first. He's a senior from Jacksonville, Florida, 37-31. Paulus is checked in. Hits them both.
If I'm Virginia Tech, I extend because I know Duke is right now looking for a three.
Shire was open. McRoberts got him to him late.
You know, they'll take a two, but I think a three is what they want.
Here's Shire trying to work his way free. Draws the foul. Nice play by Shire. And a big mistake there by Durham Washington. Allowed himself to get caught up in the air when he has a physical mismatch against Shire. He got suckered on that one.
He certainly did. And again, he put himself in a position, but you know, if you look at this carefully, I think Shire broke the plane of verticality. Instead of going straight up, watch him kind of leap into it. Right here, Washington gets up in the air, and now see how he kind of goes to the side a little bit and makes the contact? Still,
shooter's going to get that call.
Yeah, they are. They are. But I'm just saying, if you're going by the letter of the rule, you break the plane of verticality. If you're a shooter, you're allowed to go straight up, not jump into the defender. But Washington has nobody to blame but himself.
They want to see if he got the shot off and where the foul was called in time, and certainly there is just under 2 seconds. Shire will go to the line, 8 points. He's hit all 3 free throws. That's one of those situations like in baseball. If you're in the vicinity of second base, it's an out on the double play. If you go up in the air and a shooter bangs into you, 99% of the time it's going to be a foul.
Unless it's totally obvious. Now there it is right here. Nice ball fake right here. And there he gets up in here. Now watch the jump to the side. You know, he does a nice job of drawing contact.
Shire, by the way, Duke's leading rebounder in the first half. He has 4. The freshman from Illinois went to the same high school as Chris Collins, and the first ever player in the state of Illinois, listen to this, to finish in the top 10 in scoring, rebounding, assists, and steals. Rebound. Not bad.
And of course, John Shire, legendary for scoring 21 points in 75 seconds. I'm sure we've seen that over and over again. And so take a look right here. Well, the foul occurs right there about 1-9. Official's arm goes up around 1-5.
Oh, I don't know why the additional delay is Seth Greenberg is the scorer's table.
1.4 seconds will be put.
We're going to put 1.4 back on the clock. Apparently that was the discussion.
Well, Seth wants as much time back on as he possibly can get to try to answer.
Veteran official Ted Valentine. The picture with Mike Krzyzewski there. This is a very young ball club. In fact, the youngest since the World War II era for the Duke Blue Devils. And Shire misses a free throw. He had hit all 3 before. They get 2 more.
And Mike, it's no coincidence. You know, Duke speaks of the fact that 19 home games this year was scheduled.
Yep.
That's strategic scheduling. Recognize you've got a young team. You know, you want to nurture them at home before you let them out.
And they didn't schedule every major college power in the country the way they normally do. They played some teams that other guys play. Long pass with 1.4.
But nobody touched the ball. Clock shouldn't have started.
Now the horn blew when the ball was in the air, and you can't do that. It doesn't start until it touches somebody inbounds.
Inbounds, right. And I think they started it when Gordon stepped out of bounds and received the lateral pass. Somebody started the clock. See, Gordon gives the ball in. Now he steps out, and they started the clock.
Yeah. So Virginia Tech will get another crack at it because of the scorer's error, or the clock operator's error. And this time they'll just hold it. Good first half for Virginia Tech, especially on defense. They forced Paulus and McRoberts into numerous turnovers. Virginia Tech runs the court to a 38-33 lead. Let's join Dave Repson in the studio for the UPS halftime report. Virginia Tech with a 5-point lead as we get ready to start the second half here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. The opening game for the Duke Blue Devils in the ACC, number 2 for Virginia Tech. Len Elmore with the scholarly, well-dressed look. I'm going with the announcer slob look. I've already given up. It's too hot up here. It's a 5-point lead at the half. Virginia Tech played very well in the first half, forced Duke into a lot of turnovers.
Well, it certainly did, and from their two big guys, Josh McRoberts, Greg Paulus, 9 turnovers. Paulus, no points, 4 turnovers, and part of the problem was his tentativeness. You look at the passes that he threw, it's almost as though, again, he's so worried about the defender. And take a look right here. Look at the double clutch on the pass. It's in his head that Virginia Tech's defense is something that has been focused on him. And to measure that, Virginia Tech in that half had 9 deflections to Duke's 5s, and that's a good measure of defensive activity.
Virginia Tech had 30 shots in the first half. Duke only had 21 because of those turnovers.
Well, this game has also been about turnovers, as we mentioned, but also free throws. Duke 12 attempts, made 10.
Paulus with a reach-in nearly got the steal, then a shot and a foul.
And Virginia Tech 8 attempts and 5 makes. And look at the points off turnovers. That's obviously the difference in this ball game.
Foul was on DeMarcus Nelson. That's his second. Witcher out of Rocky Mount, Virginia. I had heard of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, but not Virginia.
And, you know, Mike, looking at this stat sheet, the thing that knocks you out is that Greg Paulus only played 6 minutes in the first half. Some of that due to the fact that he had 2 personal fouls, but I think most of it to the fact that he was ineffective.
Which makes the turnovers even bigger. That's 4 turnovers in 6 minutes of play. Nelson trying to go baseline against Washington, and it's an offensive foul on DeMarcus Nelson. That's his 3rd.
And boy, that is huge. DeMarcus Nelson, leading scorer for Duke, 12 points. And you look there on the baseline drive. Seth Greenberg told us before the game they have to attack Duke on the offensive end, be aggressive to the hole, and that's with emphasis.
So it's 40-33. Virginia Tech back the other way. Gordon with a hanger in the lane, and it's 42-33. Will Duke have an answer in the second half?
Well, right now, I think the young players for Duke are starting to recognize that these aren't the mid-major teams that they've been playing in the non-conference. You know, this is ACC basketball. And you got a team here that has a very short memory. Or very long memory, I should say.
Yeah. Washington steal, another poor pass by Paulus as the shot clock was under 10.
You know, that Dockery shot, I'm sure, lived with them all season last year.
Washington, very confident looking ball player. Goes baseline, gets it back out. Collins missed the shot. Nelson, long rebound. Duke trying to run 2-on-2. Nelson will now hold it up. And the thing about Paulus's play today, he had done so well the last couple of ball games. In fact, against Gonzaga, he was just spectacular. is fake.
That's what Josh McRoberts can do on the perimeter. You know, for a guy his size, pretty well fundamentally sound. With the ball fake, quick move. Ball fake, gets the defender off his feet, and then attacks the rim.
McRoberts with only 3 points on 3 out of 4 from the line. Usually just when you're getting to the point of criticizing him and saying, why isn't a guy with all his talent scoring more points? That's when he explodes. And he does have talent.
And he is explosive.
42-35.
Well, you know, this first 5 minutes as well as the last 5 minutes of the first half is usually when Duke starts to make that sprint. And what you've got to be able to do if you're Virginia Tech, you've got to be able to answer their points in the first half. Out of 10 Duke field goals, Virginia Tech answered 6 times. Obviously, that allowed them to get the lead. And that's what you've got to continue to do. You got to continue to answer to keep your lead or stay within striking distance.
McRoberts goes for the right hand. Paulus tries to keep it alive and does. McRoberts tries to touch pass inside. Picked off by Virginia Tech.
No time for no looks.
That one's blocked from behind by DeMarcus Nelson. So both teams making big plays on defense right now. DeMarcus Nelson for 3 and he hit it. DeMarcus Nelson with 15 points.
And he's also playing with 3 fouls. Obviously, the most experienced guy on the floor, Mike Krzyzewski, has got to go with him.
Timeout, 16:57 to go in the game. The lead is 6. Take you back a couple of plays with Greg Paulus against Xavier Dowdell. Lenny?
Well, look how much room Paulus is given. And obviously defensively not on his toes, flat-footed, and Dowdell recognizes that and just takes Paulus off the bounce. And so does Mike Krzyzewski recognize it. And he's telling Greg Paulus, you've got to get up into his chest. You know, not allow him to put the ball on the floor. And after the lesson, he allows Greg to sit down, and it's going to give him a little more time to gain some greater perspective. Maybe see if his teammates can do what he wasn't able to do.
Shire did a real good job in the first half, and there's a walk on Gordon as he got inside but couldn't finish the play.
Well, that was a good example of the Duke defense. We talked about how well they've played all year, and that time on the drive, 2 guys go to penetration and cut Gordon off, force the travel.
Henderson, a reach-in foul on Washington. That will be 3 on this junior from New Orleans. Coming up next is number 6, Ohio State against Bruce Weber in Illinois, right here on ESPN. But we've got a long way to go at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Number 5, Duke, taking on Virginia Tech. Nelson in the lane, stripped, fighting to get it back, still loose. Washington stepped on the end line.
Although, Mike, despite the turnover, Virginia Tech very quick to the ball. You know, one of the keys is being aggressive when the ball is on the floor. You know, loose balls, they seem trite, but they add up.
So Duke gets it back. Shire to inbound. What's the effect with Shire at the point? You look to him for scoring. Can he do both?
Well, he's going to have to. I mean, Paulus was able to shoot and keep the defenses honest. Shire is the same kind of guy, a better shooter. Now, whether he's a defender and a distributor, Paulus used to be, remains to be seen.
Foul on Witcher. That will be 3 on Lewis. Witcher and Duke trying to attack inside, and this is one of the reasons they rack up a lot of fouls, because they're very aggressive with that offense.
Well, one of the things, if I'm Virginia Tech, though, I work on DeMarcus Nelson's guy. I mean, DeMarcus Nelson with 3 fouls, playing right now in reckless abandon. 15 points and an opportunity to get 2 more. You know, you've got to make him work on the other end. That's what's going to slow him down, because right now it doesn't seem to be anybody on the Virginia Tech team capable of slowing him down.
First trip to the free throw line for Nelson. Hits the free throw. 44-39. 16 points. Witcher will sit down with his 3 personals. Nelson, the leading prep scorer in the history of California basketball. And at 6'3", he was number 3 all-time in rebounds. Can you think of the number of guys in California that were great rebounders, and he finished 3rd all-time at 6'3". Duke within 4. Dowdell running the ball club.
You know, we talked about how important it is to answer.
Gordon likes to go one-on-one. Caught up on the baseline. Gets it out for a wide-open 3. No good. And here comes Nelson on the run. He's going to take on the whole team. Nelson into the lane. Stepped in. Got it. What a play by DeMarcus Nelson. He has 18 points. They get 19. Duke gets a huge hand, and Seth Greenberg wants a timeout.
Well, this is the ACC, and it's the experienced guys, the guys who are battle-tested, usually the ones that step up. And DeMarcus Nelson with 18 points right now. Again, just goes coast to coast, surveys the floor, totally under control. And you talk about leading by example. If his teammates can't get in line, then there's something wrong.
And we talk about numbers on fast breaks. That was a 1-on-4. Apparently, he didn't feel it was that much of a mismatch.
Well, he was attacking, and he was looking to explore. And I like the idea of, in transition, exploring the defense, see what they'll give you, regardless of the numbers. If you don't have numbers, you don't have an opening, you back it out. But Virginia Tech gave DeMarcus Nelson a lane to the basket, and he took advantage of it.
Tell you what, these players are gasping for air at this point. It's very hot on the floor. The doors are open. The heat is coming in. What little air conditioning there is escaping to the outdoors. Collins in the lane. A little floater. Nice touch.
Well, the fire marshal enforcing the code here in Durham. And that's the agreement, that they would leave the doors open.
Shire, nice baseline drive. Must be a North Carolina graduate. Probably. 46-44. Jamon Gordon as they work for a clear out on that side around the screen. 3. Got it. Beautiful shot. And Nelson couldn't get around the screen to stop him. 13 points.
And that's what I talk about when you got to answer. When Duke is going on a run, you got to find a way to answer them. If you're an opponent coming in here to Cameron, because if you don't, as I said, the avalanche comes and you're buried.
Now, both of these teams have run similar offensive sets the last couple of times down. They're running clear-outs for guys and hoping for some one-on-one action, and it's working for both ball clubs.
Dave Repson in our SportsCenter in-game studios. Florida in a battle at home with Georgia. Lee Humphrey, great outside shooter, hitting the 3 right there. It's a 6-point lead for the Gators.
All right, Dave, thanks very much. We have 14:25 to go here. Virginia Tech on top of Duke by 5 points. And the big difference, Duke with 10 more turnovers than the Hokies today, and Virginia Tech with 12 more field goal tries. And DeMarcus Nelson and Shire are stepping it up for the Duke Blue Devils.
And they're stepping it up in place of Josh McRoberts and Greg Paulus, who really haven't been factors today, except on the negative side.
Henderson, 3 points. Missed the second free throw. Gordon will come out with it. It's 49-45.
Again, little things that count. Nice block out of the shooter, allowing the guard to get the rebound off the miss throw.
Sales for the ball, whistle, and a foul. And if this is on Nelson at 4.
Boy, that is huge. Little hand fighting on the post, trying to get possession. And I have always said, when you're on the post and you're battling for position, get your hands in the air so the officials can see it. Use your hips and use your shoulders. And you see Ted Valentine talking about the fact that Nelson held him with the forearm, which was not a foul, but then he grabbed around to try to get around in front. Mike Krzyzewski obviously Does not agree.
He was not buying the explanation. Paulus comes back in. Nelson will have to sit down with those 4 fouls. Masayo last to touch it, out of bounds to Duke.
I see the battle inside. The forearm is okay, but watch when they change. Right there. See the pull of the shirt as well. Ted Valentine saying the forearm was okay, but it was when you whipped around and you got a piece of the jersey as well.
McRoberts, the basket and a foul. Chris Tucker, number 42, into the ballgame, trying to defend on the double team, and he picks up the foul.
A good quick move. Right there, McRoberts makes a nice move with the drop step. Tucker too late defensively. McRoberts said, no celebration, baby. Let's win this.
7 points for Josh McRoberts. He's hit 5 out of 6 from the line. That was his first field goal with 13:49 to go in the ballgame.
And you saw those numbers right there. 5 turnovers total in the last 4 games.
And today had a chance for a 3-point play.
Today with 6 turnovers.
2-point ball game. Gordon guarded by Shire. Masayo looking for a shot. He's played man-to-man by Henderson. Seth Greenberg up, directing his ball club. We'll look for a screen here. Shot clock at 6. Gordon into the lane, knocked away. Washington, shot clock at 1. Gordon with a 3, and it's an air ball. So the Blue Devils get a hand from the faithful here at Cameron Indoor, and they've got a chance to tie it with a 2, take the lead with a 3. It's been Virginia Tech the whole way. The Hokies have outplayed the Blue Devils, forced a lot of turnovers, but Duke still in it. 112-2 against unranked teams. Not bad. Paulus, nice head fake, and he is fouled by Gordon. And a struggle for the young man. The 16th foul against Virginia Tech, so it's a non-shooting foul.
But in this league, Mike, you cannot let your past struggles, moment by moment, you can't let them interfere with what you're about to do. And Greg Paulus on that move, you saw him still trying to be aggressive as opposed to the tentativeness that he demonstrated in the first half.
Well, you're always looking ahead, aren't you, Leonard?
Well, you have to. You can't allow people to take your game away from you.
Henderson, nice jump step, had the ball knocked away, no call. Masayo, nice baseline drive, short-armed it. McRoberts gets it out of Paulus, 2-on-2. Shire wanted the ball, he was open for 3. Henderson will go down the lane, and it's tied at 49. Boy, Shire was calling for that ball for a wide-open 3. Paulus wanted the easier 2.
And I think it was a good decision by Paulus. That's a key basket. You got to go for the high percentage.
Now the Crazies are on their feet. This is why it's so tough in here, the emotion. Bounce pass, Jakite, partially blocked by Roberts. Duke basketball as Roberts tipped it to Shire.
But that's an opportunity I think Seth Greenberg would love to have had Coleman Collins in that position as opposed to Jakite, who's not really an offensive player.
Good entry pass to McRoberts. Duke's first lead of the game, 51-49. Well, Lenny, I'll tell you what, this team surprises me. Just when you think, oh, they're going right down here, they have no chance, they're not playing well, here they come. They've done it all year.
And they're demonstrating their depth. Obviously, with McRoberts and Paulus not on top of their game, they had guys like Shire and Henderson, along with DeMarcus Nelson, keep them propped up until McRoberts and Paulus can find themselves.
Inside the Play is brought to you by Infinity.
And you're going to take a look again. Just a crisp ball movement to drive inside. The problem is you're going to take a look at this guy is open, but he knows that, and he's pretty much telegraphing that pass. He's not looking to the basket. And that's what Virginia Tech has been able to do against Duke, anticipate. But when you go to the basket strong and you make yourself a threat, like Josh McRoberts on that one, you're going to find success more times than not.
McRoberts' ability to shoot with either hand is so big. I mean, he uses the proper hand when he gets on the right side of the lane or the left side of the lane, gives him a big advantage. Collins got it to Vasallo. Tough jump hook shot. Knocked out of bounds. Both guys battling for it. And out of bounds to Duke. That gets Seth Greenberg up off the bench. 11:09 to go in the ball game. Duke has cranked up the defense, and it's a battle in the ACC. That's the future because it's next. Let's get a little bit of the past. Take you back to last year here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Virginia Tech bidding to knock off #1 Duke. That was in December. And they took the lead with only a second left. They put 6/10 back on. Sean Dockery, with Jamon Gordon out of the ball game with cramps in his legs, was left open and buried a 45-footer. And Duke knocks off Virginia Tech.
And Mike, I tell you what, Virginia Tech finished last season 14-16, but that game happened obviously December 4th. Had they won that game, I guarantee you that would have been a different season for Virginia Tech.
I think so too.
It just took all the wind out of their sails, and you combine that obviously with some of the personal losses, deaths, and illnesses that they've had to suffer through as a team, and it really affected them.
They had a year like I don't think anybody has ever had. Shire for three. Would have been a huge shot there. Duke with its first lead, up by 2. Collins, Washington, nice shot.
And this is the time for Virginia Tech now to start banking on the athleticism of Washington as well as the fire of Coleman Collins. You know, we talked about Collins in 4 Duke games, averaging 16 and 11. He's got 11 points right now. They've got to start going back to their big guys, putting pressure on Duke down low. DeMarcus Nelson out of the game with fouls. They got to start working on somebody else instead of getting worked on.
McRoberts went to the right hand and beat Coleman Collins. Josh McRoberts' mom enjoying that move. And this is a Virginia Tech team that's got a lot of leadership up front. They've got 3 seniors and a junior on the court right now. Collins, a senior, and McRoberts, the sophomore, beats him.
See, that's exactly what Duke is doing. They see Collins as a threat, so they're going to go and work on him before he gets a chance to work on them.
Yeah. McRoberts misses another free throw as we approach the 10-minute mark. Gordon outside, guarded by Shire, has done a pretty good job on him, especially in the second half. Dowdell, pull-up jumper.
And that's what I'm talking about in the paint. When you've got the length and the elevation, just lay it up there softly. You know, it'll fall in for you. You get the nice backspin off the ball. Ultimately, guys try to be too perfect, and with runners try to hit the bottom of the net. Just get it up on the rim.
Tied at 53. Dangerous pass. Nice play by Paulus. McRoberts had a wide open 3 and didn't want it. Paulus will take it. McRoberts tries to keep it alive, and it comes out knocked out of bounds. How is that not a foul? And the Duke bench has gone crazy. That was an undercut.
There's no question about it with the contact. Look at everybody hustling. There's a foul right there. And then on top of Vasallo is McClure. They gave Vasallo the ball, but you're right. That was just jumping right on top of a guy.
Had to be a foul on somebody in there, you would have thought. And there's a foul. McRoberts with a reach over.
Josh McRoberts has got to be very careful right now. You know, and I mentioned before, you talk about working on him. This is what Virginia Tech is doing. They want to answer McRoberts' baskets with putting the pressure on him by going to Collins.
Duke is playing without DeMarcus Nelson, who's on the bench with 4 fouls. They've made up with his absence so far. Dowdell Good crossover. May have gotten away with a carry and hits the layup.
Xavier Dowdell, 16 points a game, 9th in scoring in the ACC, and they look as though they want to start using him down the stretch as well with that size advantage.
He's in the top 15 in Virginia Tech history in scoring. Gerald Henderson, whose dad was a 13-year NBA player, ties it again at 55. 6th time this game has been tied.
Gerald Henderson really seemed to have struggled for most of the year, and they're getting valuable minutes from him today. You know, with the foul trouble, DeMarcus Nelson, he's giving them a big lift at that small forward position.
Nelson is at the scorer's table. Mike Krzyzewski would like to get him back on the court here as we just go under 8 minutes. Nick Roberts, nice cut. And he's fouled by Washington. That's 4 on Washington. 7:50 left, tied at 55 at Cameron Indoor.
Dave Revson in our Sports Center in-game studios. Georgetown just manhandling 13-1 Notre Dame. Roy Hibbert inside. Hoya shooting 62.9% from the field. They're on top 62-35, Mike.
62-35. Holy cow. More college basketball comes your way tonight on ESPN and ESPN HD. A.J. Price and number 14 UConn against Glenn Davis. And number 19 LSU. Saturday prime time. Presented by DirecTV. Boy, we've got a good one here. First ACC game at Cameron Indoor Stadium this year. Virginia Tech and Duke locked up in a battle at 55 apiece. Washington with 4 fouls. DeMarcus Nelson for Duke with 4 fouls. And yes, Seth, it is unusually hot in here. It's in the 70s outside. They say there's air conditioning at Cameron Indoor. I think that's a publicity stunt. I know there's no vents up here. There's a big tube that says cold air. That's about it. McRoberts, who has struggled at the free throw line, now only 5 of 9.
And he aimed that one. I mean, he didn't even shoot that. He had his hand up, and it looked as though he was throwing a dart instead of shooting the ball.
Didn't stick. Neither did that one. We talked about Virginia Tech's woes at the free throw line. You shoot like that, even if you're a 70% shooter on the year, it'll kill you.
Now you got to find a way to get Jamon Gordon on the move and force DeMarcus Nelson to guard him. No call on that? Okay.
Finally, Ted Valentine comes in and makes the call after no call. I was thinking the same thing you were, Len. That's just crazy.
Yeah, David McClure had perfect blockout position.
And Witcher came right over top.
Yeah, you talk about it looked okay until, again, the reach. But again, good blockout position by McClure.
Duke has missed its last 5 free throws. And now Washington and Witcher, 2 starters with 4 personals. That one's good as McClure, the sophomore from Ridgefield, Connecticut, hits the free throw.
See, what the point I was making before the foul was that you've got Jamon Gordon, very nifty with the ball, good penetrator, goes to the basket strong. Got to find a way to get him on the move after he gives it up and force DeMarcus Nelson to guard him. Nelson with 4 fouls has got to give room.
Duke bricks another free throw. The lead is 1. Both Dowdell and Gordon very dangerous.
Look at the job by McClure. Nice job of stepping out on the switch and forcing ball handler wide. See, Gordon's looking for a clear out. He's telling this big guys, get out of the way.
He got by Nelson. Nice recovery by McRoberts. Got a piece of that. Ted Valentine said you stepped out of bounds, though.
Again, here's the penetration, and Nelson just let him go. See that? He just let him go. But right there, I think Coleman, Collins put the ball on the floor one dribble too many and got himself into trouble instead of taking that short 8-footer.
Ended up with terrible position and put McRoberts back in the driver's seat defensively.
Duke playing a zone right now, and I don't think Virginia Tech recognizes it.
Who would? Lean in, hit, Dowdell.
And again, they're attacking DeMarcus Nelson. That time, Dowdell decided to take the shot, whereas Gordon blew by Nelson and tried to create for someone else.
You got to be so careful playing with those 4 fouls. But they need his offensive skills out there.
Absolutely. And that's why he's got to back off. And if I'm Virginia Tech, I explore him. If I want to get to the paint, it's going to be the guy he's guarding that's going to put it on the floor and take it, because he's got to give room. There's that high screen fake and the slip.
McRoberts partially blocked, got it back and put it in. What an effort by McRoberts.
Well, in the critical moments, when you're in the heat of battle, the officials are allowing them to play. Now take a look right here. There's a high screen. Hold it right there. As he steps up, McRoberts recognizes that, and that's what I mean by slipping the screen. You see the step out by Collins. There's no way he can get to McRoberts in time, and the help side comes over too late, as the guys on the weak side for Duke are very wide and good three-point shooters, and you have to honor them.
Nice reaction by McRoberts. Those are things you have to recognize in a heartbeat so you can make that move.
Absolutely. When you feel the guy who's guarding the screener step up really high, and you know that your teammates are up high or wide and the help side is not there, you slip that pick in a minute. And Duke has had some success with that. That's almost their go-to play, that in a need situation, they've been able to get baskets or get to the free throw line.
And McRoberts certainly been the go-to guy. He has a big second half. And Duke is back on top by 1. And Gordon and Dowdell carry them down the stretch. Between them, they're averaging over 28 points a game. Those are the guys they're going to want to have the basketball.
That time Dowdell, same thing, got in the paint, elevated, set it up there softly, didn't get the roll, but that was a good shot. And here it goes again, high screen, slip. This time Collins does not come high.
Shire was open. Good job to get the bounce pass over to the side to Henderson. Shire had the 3, but Henderson was wide open and he got him the ball.
Good ball movement by Duke. Very slow rotation by Virginia Tech. And you see Virginia Tech in their 4 losses by a total of 10 points. Close game situations. It's all about the little things. First of all, hitting free throws. Secondly, playing smart defense.
And Witcher just picked up his 5th personal foul. So Washington, the very athletic forward, will come back in. And Henderson goes to the line, 7 points, 1 out of 2.
Remember, Washington has 4 fouls as well.
Yes. And will Duke start hitting its free throw? Henderson hasn't been that great from the line, only 60% this year. 1 out of 2. Duke has given away a lot of points at the free throw line today. Only hit 17 of 26.
Here's one of those answer times that Virginia Tech certainly needs to want to answer here. Don't want to give Duke a chance to go up 4.
Gordon fell down and made it anyway.
Oh,
are you kidding? How about that?
In times of need.
Sometimes prayers are answered immediately. No waiting.
That's not quite payback for Sean Dockery's shot.
No. Couple of more, they'll be even. Nelson got inside, couldn't finish. Tied at 59. Dowdell just inside the three-point line. Players slipping all over the place right now. The heat and the humidity affecting this floor.
Right, and the extraordinary perspiration. These guys stand still, and that sweat is dropping on the floor. And everybody's got to be cognizant of that. Every time there's a play stoppage, they need to get out there and wipe up.
Shot clock at 10. Sabian Dowdell down to 7. Dowdell pull up from 17. Nice shot, wouldn't go.
But if I'm Dowdell, I don't stop taking that shot when it's available. Can't lose your confidence. He's right on it. And he can get that shot almost any time he wants.
Now Duke's going to spread the floor a little bit and look for a bunny inside if they can.
Looking to take that lead, because mentally that puts an awful lot of pressure in a game like this on the opposition.
McRoberts underneath, knocked away. Out to Duke with 8 on the shot clock. We're under 4 minutes, so there's a timeout with 3:57 to go in the ball game. How about that? Might have been a travel, but who cares? Give it to him. What an effort by Jamon Gordon.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by GMC, engineered to the highest standard, professional grade.
Just another lousy day in the ACC. 59-59 with 3 minutes and 57 seconds to go in the ball game. It's been a good one. Virginia Tech with a big advantage forcing turnovers. But there you see on the reset, Tech now with 10 fouls in the second half, so Duke will shoot 2 from now on.
And Duke with only 4 team fouls, so they've still got a couple to give before they even get in the penalty.
Nelson almost lost it and then double dribbled.
Boy, turnovers absolutely killing Duke. You know, you take away the turnovers in this ball game and maybe even assign a reasonable amount, and Duke is probably winning this ball game if everything goes according.
18 turnovers. Every possession becomes dear now. Tied at 55. Nice pass. Washington clobbered as he went inside. Who gets the foul? It'll be on McRoberts, his 3rd.
Well, again, good ball movement right there. It all begins with Gordon. DeMarcus Nelson with 4 fouls. Gordon could go anywhere he wants. A nice delivery to Washington, and Washington attacks that rim. Problem is, Washington 57% free throw shoot.
The 2 out of 4 today. That one looked pretty good.
Well, as I always said, you know, it's not what you do to begin the game, it's how you end it.
1 out of 2. One-point Virginia Tech lead. 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. Wallace will run the point at this critical juncture of the ballgame. Shire's in the corner. They want McRoberts and can't get him in the right place. But Wallace almost walked. Shot clock at 6. Wallace, another turnover. The backdoor cut wasn't there. Here comes Washington. He went right over top of him. Are you kidding?
And that's the second time that Deron Washington has literally jumped over Greg Paulus.
But this time it looked like he cleared him completely.
It looked like one of the NBA slam dunk stunts.
Let's go to Brad Nessler. He has a preview of Ohio State and Illinois.
He did clear him.
The Orange Crush will be in full throat today as Ohio State's talented freshmen Greg Oden and Mike Conley Jr. play their first Big Ten road game against Warren Carter and the Fighting Illini of Illinois. But right now, let's head back to Mike Patrick and Lenny Elmore at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Fellas?
Brad, I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like it. Deron Washington on the drive goes completely over the defender.
Well, you take a look here. He absolutely clears him.
Oh.
And not for those long shorts. He would have cleared. We could see he could probably clear him for a couple inches. And again, earlier, we talked about having luck. It's better to be lucky than good. And Jamon Gordon with that shot right there. Maybe that's an omen for Virginia Tech.
Our colleague Dan Bonner used to tell the story about playing against David Thompson when Dan was at Virginia. Dan had stolen the ball, was going in for a layup, and David Thompson was chasing him. Dan stopped, and Thompson went over top of him and kicked him in the back of the head. That's how high David could get. But look at this.
I'm glad you didn't say Dan got up that high.
No.
Because I knew better. But look, he cleared him by several inches. And Greg Paulus, he does fall, but...
Greg Paulus playing the role of high hurdle. Unbelievable. Vince Carter did that, I believe, in the Olympic Games. But it's a three-point lead and a remarkable play by Washington. McRoberts lost the ball off the poor pass, or off the pass from Shire. And now Dell with 2:38. Virginia Tech, three-point lead and possession.
Again, if you want to get somewhere with it, you got to get Gordon's touch. He's got Nelson on him. You know Nelson can't afford to foul out of this game.
Lost his balance, down he goes. Shire's ahead of the pack, then turned his head, and the ball went right by him. Duke blows a huge opportunity to crawl back within one.
And we talked about it earlier, about getting the loose balls quickly, you know, creating your own breaks. And right now, down the stretch, the breaks seem to be going Virginia Tech's way, even when they make a mistake, as Jamon Gordon did, and almost did just then.
Almost. 11 on the shot clock. Nice move to get into the lane, no shot. Somebody's got to make a big play here for either side, either to put it away for Virginia Tech or to get Duke back in it. Nelson, little runner in the lane. McRoberts tries for the rebound. He and Collins are tied up. The possession arrow will give it back to Duke.
You see the anxiety setting in, Mike. Guys are taking quick shots. They're taking shots where they're not set. That last shot by Jamon Gordon, he didn't recognize he was guarding.
You're right, Lenny. Everybody getting a little tight right now. McRoberts. Shire will come back to get it. Has a chance for a three and didn't look.
Nice job by Shire to try to spread out a little bit.
And he tossed it up in the air. A poor decision by Shire. Had McRoberts on the baseline, got right on top of him before he tried to get it to him.
Well, his original move to widen out was to create an opportunity to get the ball to McRoberts, but instead of getting it to him, he decided to take it on his own.
Duke making uncharacteristic turnovers. 1:06 to go in the ball game. The lead is 3. 22 Blue Devil turnovers. Count them, 22. Season average 15-7. They'd like to cut that down, but 22 was remarkable. And remember, Virginia Tech leads the ACC coming in, one of the best teams in the nation, in difference in turnover margin. So they've done a great job in that regard.
Well, Virginia Tech only turns it over 12 times a game, but let's remember this. This game obviously is not over. Virginia Tech has had a penchant for losing close games this year. And again, it comes down to doing the little things. Maybe this is their awakening. We don't know. But they have to focus and learn how to win close games. And obviously, Mike Krzyzewski frustrated with the lost opportunities. His team, literally, with the 22 turnovers, has kept the door open. And I'm talking about wide open for Virginia Tech to be where they are right now, up by 3.
Since it was tied at 59, Duke has turned it over 5 times and only got 1 shot. They missed that. Very reminiscent of the way they started this game. Shot clock at 18. Game clock now at 1:03. Gordon working against Nelson. This is Sales. They get Dowdell against Shire. Tries to go baseline. Cut off. Jump shot. No. McRoberts with a rebound. Duke is still alive. Virginia Tech can't close the book. Can anybody make a shot? Henderson, pull up, got it. 1-point game. 32.5 seconds left. Let's go to Dave Revson. Dave?
Now, Mike, coming up next, Greg Oden. Imagine how good he will be when he can use his right hand. His Buckeyes getting set to take on Illinois in Champaign. They'll tip it at 2:10 Eastern Time.
All right, Dave, thanks very much. And it's 62-61. 32.5 seconds left to go. Of course, last season here at Cameron Indoor, you had the finish of finishes. Virginia Tech was up 75-74. They had 1.6 seconds on the clock. One of the great finishing shots of all time.
You see Sean Docker, the hero right there. He's gone on to play in Germany as a professional, and you saw a picture of Coleman Collins. He hit the go-ahead basket, and you saw the look of disappointment on his face. But here again, we talked about close game situations. Seth Greenberg can hardly watch.
Duke has a foul to give, only 5 team fouls. They're going to have to do that to get into a one-on-one situation. And go back to the consideration of Virginia Tech's free throw shooting prowess. They're not very good. 62.7% as a team. That last foul on Henderson, by the way. So there are some candidates out there to foul. Obviously, you wouldn't want to go after Dowdell, who was 4th in the conference. But outside of Dowdell, you can pick anybody.
I think Coleman Collins is the next best free throw shooter, shooting at 61%, but Dowdell is the guy that they fouled. Nice job of Virginia Tech to execute to get it in the hands of the best free throw shooter.
Got to put a couple of guys on him and make sure he never gets the ball to start with. Opponents shooting at Cameron only 60% this year.
But when you listen to this crowd and allow them to get into their heads, Virginia Tech only 8 of 12.
Dowdell, 18 points above his season's average. He shoots 87.7% from the line and has hit 35 of his last 38. So he is the #1 candidate. In fact, the only Virginia Tech candidate you would want at the free throw line. Posey's the first one in. A second one would make it a 3-point game.
Still a 1-possession ball game, but it would only be about a tie for Duke.
Got the second one. Nice soft touch. 64-61. Here comes Paulus. Remember, there is no J.J. Redick, the automatic 3. Nelson will try it and got it. Excuse me. Maybe there is. Tied at 64. What a clutch shot by DeMarcus Nelson, and he has 22. Just a pull-up 3 in your face.
And you talk about rolling the dice. That was a perfect opportunity to go for a quick 2. You see the wide open floor, but instead using the McClure screen, Washington backing off because he has 4 fouls and buries it. Does DeMarcus Nelson. Once again, nice screen by David McClure. He actually was getting held because he couldn't roll.
That was pretty. So 17 seconds to go in the ball game. Nelson has been the big offensive guy.
But man, that was quite the gamble right there.
Yes, it was.
And recognize if he missed it, he'd obviously have to foul, and you give a chance to make it a 2-possession ball game. And if Virginia Tech had hit the free throws, that pretty much puts it out of reach.
But they have always been a team that embraced a 3-point shot. If you've got one, go ahead and take it.
Well, there must be a timing issue right there. Clock starts as it should.
Right now there's 17 on the clock. Let's see where this shot comes. 18 and a half maybe.
If they put anything, well, they actually took time off.
If they're going to do anything, they ought to put a second and a half back on the clock because that's when the ball went through.
Yeah, it looked like it went through at 17-9, 18-1 to 17-9, somewhere in between there.
Now watch here. Did they inbound? Does it start on the inbound?
Yeah, it started fine. I think it's after the shot went through.
18 and a half. Watch. 18-8. 18-8, 18-9.
Remember, it's got to come all the way through the net to be a goal.
Then we're down to 18.
The idea is that whether it started when the ball was inbound, and it didn't. And that's why DeMarcus Nelson was pointing up to the clock. He said it looked like a good 2 seconds before the clock actually started. So it stopped at 17-9.
And in this situation, 1 second could obviously be very significant. But the bottom line is we're tied at 64, regardless of what amount of time they put on this clock. And if you're Virginia Tech, do you go back to the well again? I mean, you're looking Dowdell or Gordon?
Well, you have to. And again, I look at the guy that DeMarcus Nelson is guarding and let him be the trigger guy. You've got two terrific guards in Dowdell and Gordon. Ball goes through.
Now the clock did not restart, so they've got a couple of timing errors to deal with there. Now they get 12.9. How did we do that? I wish we could get an explanation, but here's what's going to happen.
Well, they took 5 seconds off from the time that they stopped, so that was the referee's judgment.
Dowdell, 1 second. Overtime.
Those 5 seconds were huge.
Well, they were, and I think the officials missed what should have been on the clock after the basket. Should have been another second and a half.
Well, Virginia Tech has been living and dying by Xavier Dowdell in need situations. Jamon Gordon gives it up.
Under pressure, tough shot, didn't get it. Back for overtime in a minute. Thank you, Dave. This will be the first overtime game for either team this year. And I want to go back, Lenny, and take a look at the overall impact of this game. I think Duke is very fortunate to get into overtime.
Well, they certainly are. Again, it comes down to Virginia Tech having a 3-point lead, not being able to hit shots down the stretch.
Right.
And, of course, DeMarcus Nelson with that huge three. As I mentioned before, it was all about rolling the dice.
McRoberts looked like he hit that ball on the way up. Duke may be very fortunate to have another jump ball situation. McRoberts got in there early. Tips this one, controlled by the Blue Devils. Shire is back at the point. McRoberts. Got it. Good no call. Contact, but no foul.
Once again, it was a high screen and slipping that screen. Virginia Tech's got to learn to play that screen honest, not put pressure on their weak side.
Well, McRoberts always seems to wake up in the second half. Players slipping and sliding everywhere. Washington fouled by McRoberts. In case you joined us late, it is very humid in here. Shire will get the foul instead of McRoberts.
Big play right here. DeMarcus Nelson could have opted for a quick two and then fouled, but instead, you know, he decided to go for the whole shebang, and he buries the jumper.
Washington at the line where he struggled, hits the first. The freshman was all ACC. Very quick, athletic. Hits them both. We're tied at 66. Shire against the senior. Dowdell takes him all the way to the baseline, then brings it back out.
Again, the one thing that jumps out at you, Greg Paulus on the bench, not leading this team in overtime.
Henderson trying to get by Washington. Can't. Tries to pull up jumper. Henderson forced that one.
Yeah, he did. He couldn't find anybody open and got a little antsy. Shot clock still had some time on it for him to find somebody open. David McClure on the switch out. McClure, a pretty good defensive player right there. Dowdell respects him. That's why he's not trying to take him off the bounce.
Endurance and the elements coming into play a little bit more. It's so hot in here. And it's gotten slippery. This is a tough shot with the shot clock running down. Tip won't go either. And Henderson with a rebound. So Gordon and Dowdell not hitting well in the last couple of minutes at crunch time.
And I would say settling maybe a little too much for the jump shot instead of exploring the defense off the bounce. Pretty good penetrators. They can create for other guys.
McRoberts and Collins battling outside. Henderson trying to draw the foul. Took a poor shot.
I tell you one thing, though. The freshman's unafraid.
Yes, he is.
Overtime in his first ACC game, and he's still willing to take shots.
And that could have gotten Washington out of the game had they called it. He's playing with 4. Sales kicks it off in the corner. Washington with a shot. McRoberts with a rebound. Ohio State with a quick 5-0 lead over Illinois. We'll get you to that game when we're done here. Timeout with 2:41 to go in the first overtime, dare we say. Back to Cameron Indoor after this.
As promised, we keep you updated on Ohio State and Illinois. We'll get to Champaign as soon as the overtime is done in Durham. Jamar Butler here early on for the Buckeyes, hitting the three. It's 5-4 OSU.
Dave, you got to love your school to wear this.
Once a Blue Devil, always a Blue Devil, no matter how you look.
You like the fact that the horns light up? That's good.
Although I suspect that was a bet from your grandchildren.
And he didn't win it either.
That's right. And there's the other side of being a Blue Devil.
Had a little controversy at the end of regulation. Watch the shot by Nelson. Clock should have stopped at about 18-8. It did not, and then it should have restarted there, and it did not. They finally settled on 12.5, which I thought was a little excessive to take that much time off the clock.
Well, I think what they were doing is I think they could live with the 17-9 because once it went through the net, the clock stopped. Okay, a tenth or two, a second difference maybe from what you said. But once the ball was inbounded, the clock didn't start, and I think it was their calculation that it was about 5 seconds from the 17-9.
In overtime, Duke has hit 1 out of 3 shots. It doesn't sound good, but Virginia Tech is 0 for 3. Paulus back in at 2:39. Tied at 66. Virginia Tech has scored from the free throw line in overtime only.
But Coleman Collins doing a nice job on McRoberts down low, not allowing him to post up without an arm, high-siding him to the ball. And the way to get McRoberts free is a high screen right there.
Nelson, shot clock down to 10, had to force a 3, and it turns out to be tipped by Sales, I believe. Somebody got a fingertip on it, and it's Virginia Tech basketball.
Coleman Collins has been the forgotten man right now. The guards have been dominating the offense, and they've forgotten about the guy who usually has dominant numbers against Duke.
Under 2 on the clock. Dowdell against Shire into the lane. Puts it up. Did not get the roll. The rebound to McClure. They have been so close in the last couple of minutes in here in overtime, but they can't hit a shot. Virginia Tech unable to get anything to go down. This is the guy that needs to have the ball for Duke. And he walked. No, fouled first. Boy, McRoberts looked like he was dragging that pivot foot with him.
Well, let's take a look at it right here. We're talking about Collins doing a nice job of holding position. Right here, McRoberts tries to drop step and turn. He bangs, he bangs. Well, I didn't see, first of all, I didn't see anything. I didn't necessarily see a travel, but I certainly didn't see a foul.
15 points, 5 out of 10 from McRoberts at the line. These are huge. Hits this one. And Seth Greenberg really arguing his case to the officials. He wanted to travel on that. Thought he had a good argument. McRoberts missed the second one, but an offensive rebound. Shire had a 3 and didn't pull the trigger.
Remember I said the little things lose you games down the stretch, and just merely not blocking out soundly enough off the free throw, giving Duke an extra opportunity.
Duke can take it under a minute. They have a 1-point lead. Shire in control of the offense. McRoberts with 9 on the shot clock. Shire got it back. He'll take the 3. Virginia Tech ball. Down by 1. Neither team doing much of a job in making clutch shots right now. Zabian Dowdell. And Virginia Tech wants a timeout with 43.5 seconds to go in overtime. It's one thing to be the guy who wants the ball at crunch time. It's another thing to get it and have to make a shot when you don't necessarily, you're not in good position to make it.
Right, you have to deliver, and I think Dowdell and to a certain extent Gordon have felt the pressure that they have to do it alone. And particularly Dowdell, who's had about 3 or 4 shots down the stretch in regulation and early here in overtime where they were his shots, but he's not making them. What you need to do right now is continue to have them handle it because they are good ball handlers, especially the guy who's guarding DeMarcus Nelson.
Yeah.
And you force him to be able to penetrate. And then don't forget about Coleman Collins. You go to the basket.
I was just going to say the same thing. And Collins has done a tremendous job defensively against McRoberts. But this is the play we're all going to remember. Washington. Yikes. Right over the top of Paulus. And then Gordon, this shot. He'll remember that one. Players love stats. And that gets your shooting percentage up in a hurry when you make a couple of those. We talked about memories when we started this game. Well, there's something waiting out there. Washington's going to have one to last them forever. You get a clip of that thing going over Greg Paulus.
We just warn the kids, don't try those at home.
Yeah. Hey, Paulus is 6'1". It's not like he jumped Muggsy Bogues. .24 on the shot clock, 43 on the game clock. Basayo has checked in for Virginia Tech, another good shooter.
See, look at the hand check right there. Got away with, oh, man.
Gordon with a floater. Virginia Tech back by 1.
And the reason I bring up the hand check, the officials are going to allow these guys to play. They've worked too hard.
Nelson setting multiple screens for him, trying to get in the lane, lost the ball, saved it. Henderson kicks it outside. McClure missed the shot. Washington with a rebound, and he's fouled. Or did they call a jump? They called a jump, and the ball will go to Virginia Tech. So now Duke has to foul with 8.8 seconds on the clock. Hokies by 1. And Seth Greenberg trying to tell his team what he wants and is going to have to take a timeout and bring him over.
That's a good timeout, though. This is the last situation where you want to have any kind of miscommunication whatsoever. Not that you want to have it at all.
Right.
But certainly not here.
Now, Dowdell is their one really good free throw shooter, and he's a world-class free throw shooter. So defensively, what do you try to stop him from getting the ball in the first place?
Well, obviously you want to try to at least double team and play behind, play in front to try to deter them. They'll the inbounder will take a look at him once, maybe even take a look at him twice. If you can play D on him for about 2 to 3 seconds, you force them to either call another timeout or you force them to get the ball into somebody else, and then you rush that guy. But the key right now is to play front and behind Dowdell and not allow him a clean look at the ball.
Ohio State is leading Illinois early, 8-7. We'll get you there when we're done here. But and look at overtime.
Look at Shire as well as look at Dowdell. Shire's not playing Coleman Collins. He's not even going to play it. See, there they go.
Somehow he got away anyhow. They get the ball to Vasayo, and Vasayo fouled with 7.5 seconds to go.
Boy, Vasayo made the good decision, although it was tempting. Coleman Collins broke wide open underneath, and Vasayo had a chance to throw it.
Vasayo, who's a pretty good free throw shooter coming off the bench at 73-9, has 5 points today, has not been to the line as yet. The best he could do is make it a 3-point advantage. So it would still be a one-possession game for the Blue Devils.
Well, Greg Paulus back in the ball game, and Paulus having, an un-Greg Paulus afternoon. Hadn't played much time, but Mike Krzyzewski puts him in a critical possession at the end of the first half, puts him in for a critical possession at the end of the second half, and now here at overtime with 7.5, he puts him back in.
And he's got range on the shot, one of the reasons.
Well, the other reason is, regardless of what kind of day he's having, you expect him to have the best judgment.
That's right. 2-point lead. Vasallo can make it 3. Virginia Tech has made them all from the free throw line in overtime until now. 2-point game. Ball hits Paulus right in the chops. He's going to have to take a shot, and it's a runner blocked by Washington. And it's over. Washington with a tremendous defensive play stuffed the shot off the hand of Greg Paulus. What an effort.
And remember, 5 starters for Virginia Tech returned from last year's game here when Sean Dockery hit that big shot. You don't think that this is redemption for them? Take a look.
What a sequence for the Hokies of Virginia Tech to win a huge game.
Well, first of all, a miscommunication there. McRoberts with the hard pass. Now, Paulus has nothing to do but try to shoot it himself, and Washington had a bead on him all the way. See, look at Washington. He's got a bead on it all the way. Left enough room where he could use his athleticism for the deflection.
6-1 against 6-7 and 6-7 wins. Heck of a play by Washington. And a tremendous effort by Virginia Tech. They win it over number 5 Duke 69-67. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Don't forget postgame extra on ESPN News. Coming up next, Ohio State, Illinois. For Len Elmore, Mike Patrick, thanks for watching, everybody. Here's Brad Nessler and Steve Lavin.
Duke and Virginia Tech, the Hokies finally get one at Cameron Indoor Stadium in overtime. 69-67, an amazing game as Duke goes to 0-1 in the ACC. The Hokies are 2-0. Mike Patrick and Len Elmore, they called the game on ESPN. And guys, make your reservations now. I want to be at Virginia Tech Duke at Cameron Indoor next year. Something about these two teams, it's always special.
Yeah, this is becoming a great tradition, isn't it, Ryan? We had the huge finish for Duke last year, a huge finish for Virginia Tech, and Seth Greenberg has been kind enough to join us. Seth, congratulations. Huge win for you guys.
Yeah, it was a terrific win. Unfortunately, it took us 5 more minutes. We cannot guard that last possession, but I'm so proud of our guys. They continue to compete. And most importantly, we said to win this basketball game, we had to compete on the offensive end as well as the defensive end. And right to that last possession, the kids did a great job staying with the offense, executing, and Jamon Gordon comes up with a big shot. But it was a great team win. Coleman Collins did a terrific job on McRoberts. I thought as a group we were aggressive, we attacked, and we remained poised even when they took the lead in the second half.
Seth, there was one play that I have never seen before. Deron Washington literally hurdled a defender and got a layup. That was remarkable.
That was terrific. He's a magnificent athlete. He came up with a big block at the end of the game. He's special. I always tell him all the time that what makes him special is how hard he plays. If he plays really hard, he has a chance to do something very special. But again, my senior guards were terrific. We defended the ball as well as we needed to. We took good care of the basketball, which is so important against Duke. And again, we were committed to staying with our offense and trying to drive them, and we were able to do that in a great environment, a great win. Again, sometimes you think you're losing it, but we stayed with it.
Well, Seth, let's talk about those guards for a second. Xavier Dowdell, Jamon Gordon. I mean, you went to them down the stretch each time in a need situation. Dowdell not really able to connect down the stretch and help you put the game away, but you stayed with him. What did you say to him in the huddle, particularly after before Gordon's big shot in overtime?
Well, again, we were looking at matchups, quite honestly, Len, and we were trying to attack. Obviously, Nelson had 4 fouls. We were trying to make a play at the basket at the end of the game, and Zabe settled for a little bit of a step back, but those guys are our guys. I mean, they've been with us for 4 years. We believe in them. We trust them. If we're going to win or lose a game, I want those guys to have the ball in their hands with a chance to win the game, and I would do it each and every time. those two guys are very special. They're helping us build a program. As you know, it's a process of building a program, but they're helping us build a program, and their competitive spirit today and their toughness enable us to get a great win.
Seth, we had the chance to talk to you before the game, and you had a game plan defensively coming in. You've always had a great defense. To put pressure on these guys, and it certainly paid off. You forced them into 22 turnovers today.
Yeah, we wanted to pressure the basketball. We thought that, Jamon Gordon is a terrific on-ball defender. Zabian obviously is a good defender. What we weren't able to guard, which we really struggled with, is when McRoberts caught the ball in the post, we turned our heads too many times. He hit a couple of people on back cuts in the first half. The second half, we did a little bit better job on that. But we wanted to get out and pressure the guards. We thought that was an advantage for us in terms of our ability to pressure the basketball and our experience. Let's face it, we were much more experienced on the perimeter.
Seth, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Congratulations on a big win after some heartbreaking losses this year.
Guys. Thank you very much.
You earned this one.
Thank you.
Duke hosting Virginia Tech, the 5th-ranked Blue Devils, 20-6 in league openers under Coach K. It would be the Hokies that get off to the quick start, 8-0. Jamon Gordon, taking it to the rack. Now Duke would fight back, down 14-12. John Shire driving to Lance Thomas, lays it up and in. We are tied at 14. Back and forth we go. Hokies up 2 now off the rebound. Check out Coleman Collins on the throw it down. Coleman, throw it down. One-hand jam. Hokies by 4. Greg Paulus now finds Josh McRoberts. This is in the second half. They had only 3 points in the first half combined, all from McRoberts. He would have a big second half. 3 minutes to go. Play of the day. Deron Washington, check it out. Hurdling Paulus. No foul called. He went over him.
It's a heck of a no call.
Elevation. 30 seconds to go now. DeMarcus Nelson times the game at 64. And just like that, Virginia Tech one last chance to win it. Dowdell for the win. No good. Overtime at Cameron Indoor. Under a minute left in overtime. Both teams offensively struggling. Gordon driving the lane. The teardrop gets it to go. Hokies by 1. Duke ball. McClure gets the look he wanted. Wide open. Cannot hit. Badly misses off the iron. Duke still down 1. Last chance for the Dukes now. Paulus for the win. Rejected by Washington. Elevation again. Virginia Tech wins it in overtime. 69-67. A thriller from Cameron Indoor. So the Hokies, they've played Duke tough before. They finally get the win in Durham. A classic. 69-67. The game was on ESPN. And Virginia Tech walks away with the ACC win.